In the top stories, St. Kitts and Nevis crime reduction model draws UNDP interest. Jamaica court convicts constable in Donnelly Donaldson murder, and U.S., Russia, Ukraine hold trilateral talks in UAE. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Major Newscast. Today is Friday, 23rd January 2026, and I am Jasmine Thomas. First, on the local scene, the Citizen Security Task Force, chaired by Prime Minister the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, held its first meeting of 2026 on Thursday, with international attention focused on St. Kitts and Nevis's approach to reducing crime and violence. The meeting was of particular significance as the Federation's public health-based model for citizen security has attracted the interest of the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP. UNDP officials met with members of the task force as part of a mission to the Federation this week aimed at exploring how St. Kitts and Nevis's prevention-focused approach could inform a wider regional response to crime and violence. Since its establishment in late 2024, the task force has operated under an all-of-society framework, bringing together national security experts, law enforcement, educators, youth representatives, members of the business community, senior civil servants, and faith leaders. Working closely with communities, the task force has contributed to a dramatic decline in crime, including a more than 75% reduction in homicides, with the Federation recording single-digit homicide figures for the first time in more than 2 decades. Other categories of crime have also shown significant declines. The UNDP has indicated that St. Christopher and Nevis's model could help shape a regional roadmap on crime and violence as a public health issue, with discussions underway about possible resource mobilization and regional adoption of similar strategies. Meanwhile, coordinator of the Citizen Security Secretariat, Arthur Carey, told ZIZ News that in 2026, the focus will shift toward expanded community outreach, consultations, and prevention-based programs aimed at maintaining the gains already achieved. Carey said the goal remains ensuring that all citizens, residents, and visitors to St. Kitts and Nevis continue to feel safe and secure while strengthening the foundation for long-term social stability. Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew on Thursday received a courtesy call from the Ambassador of France to the Federation, Her Excellency Marie-Noëlle Dury. During the meeting, Ambassador Dury formally presented her credentials to the Prime Minister, marking the start of her diplomatic engagement with St. Christopher and Nevis. Discussions focused on strengthening bilateral cooperation, including continued support for Alliance Française and the expansion of educational and cultural opportunities between St. Kitts and Nevis and France. And Stuart Versailles has been appointed as the new Director of Agriculture in the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Marine Resources. The appointment, which officially began on January 21, marks a significant step in advancing the sector's strategic priorities for 2026 and beyond. Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Marine Resources, the Honorable Samuel Duggins, welcomed the new director, expressing confidence in his ability to help move the agriculture sector forward. Mr. Versailles, meanwhile, shared his vision for the way forward, emphasizing improved sector coordination, increased innovation, and sustainable growth across agriculture. On the regional scene, Police Constable Noel Maitland has been found guilty of the murder of his girlfriend, Donnelly Donaldson, following a closely watched trial at Jamaica's Home Circuit Court. The verdict was delivered on January 22, 2026, after weeks of testimony. Maitland was also convicted of preventing the lawful burial of a corpse in connection with Donaldson's disappearance in July 2022. Her body has never been recovered. Prosecutors relied heavily on circumstantial evidence, including blood found at Maitland's apartment, the removal and disposal of furniture, phone records tracking his movements and communications after Donaldson went missing. The Crown argued that the evidence formed an unbroken chain, pointing to Maitland as the only person responsible for her death. Donaldson, a 24-year-old social media influencer and entrepreneur, was last seen on July 11, 2022 at Maitland's residence in St. Andrew. The defense maintained that the case was based on speculation and unreliable evidence. In an unsworn statement, Maitland denied killing Donaldson and pleaded not guilty to both charges. And former Grenadian Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell has announced his retirement from active politics, bringing to an end a parliamentary career spanning more than 4 decades. Dr. Mitchell, aged 79, made the announcement on Thursday night, confirming that acting clerk of Parliament, Dr. Adrian Joseph, will serve as caretaker for the St. George Northwest constituency, which he represented since 1984. Addressing supporters, Dr. Mitchell reflected on the confidence placed in him by voters, noting that he served as a member of Parliament for more than 40 years and as Prime Minister for a combined 23 years. He said the time had come to step aside, adding that he had promised constituents during the last general election that it would be his final term. Dr. Mitchell is the founding leader of the New National Party and longest-serving Prime Minister in Grenada's history. He led the party to clean sweeps of all 15 parliamentary seats in the 2013 and the 2018 general elections. The New National Party lost the 2022 general election to the National Democratic Congress. His retirement marks the end of a significant era in Grenadian politics, closing a chapter defined by long-standing leadership and national influence. We now turn to news on the international scene. U.S., Russian, and Ukrainian negotiators are holding trilateral talks in the United Arab Emirates, marking the first known meeting involving all 3 countries since the war in Ukraine began nearly 4 years ago. The talks are taking place in Abu Dhabi and come amid intensified diplomatic efforts to end the conflict. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said his delegation is clear on its objectives and remains in constant contact with him as discussions continue. Russia's delegation is led by senior military officials, while Ukraine has sent a mix of civilian, diplomatic, and security representatives. The United States is represented by senior advisors to President Donald Trump. The Kremlin has indicated that territorial issues remain central to Russia's position, while U.S. officials have suggested talks are narrowing in scope. The meeting is being closely watched by the international community as a potential step toward de-escalation, though no agreement has been announced. The man who assassinated Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe have been sentenced to life imprisonment more than 3 years after the shooting shocked the nation. Tetsuya Yamagami was handed the sentence on Wednesday by the Nara District Court after previously pleading guilty to murder. Judge Shinichi Tanaka described the attack as despicable and extremely malicious, saying Yamagami waited for an opportunity before targeting Abe with a gun. Abe was shot and killed during a campaign event in the city of Nara on July 8, 2022. His death stunned Japan, a country with virtually no gun crime. Prosecutors argued that life imprisonment was warranted, while the defense sought leniency, claiming Yamagami was a victim of religious abuse linked to his mother's involvement with the Unification Church. The case triggered widespread scrutiny of the church and its ties to Japanese politicians, including members of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party. Shinzo Abe, Japan's longest-serving prime minister, was 67 years old at the time of his death. We now take a look at the weather. Present weather across St. Kitts and Nevis: cloudy skies with light showers in the vicinity. Winds a fresh breeze of 18 miles per hour from the east. Seas are 1.8 to 2.8 meters or 6 to 9 feet with swells of up to 2.1 meters or 7 feet. A small craft and high surf advisory remains in effect for north and eastern facing coastlines. Weather today mostly cloudy with periods of showers, some moderate to locally heavy. Weather tonight mostly cloudy with periods of showers. Sunset this evening is said to be at approximately 6 o'clock, and tomorrow morning sunrise will be at around 15 minutes before 7. And that brings us to the end of the Midday Major Newscast. Thank you for joining us. I am Jasmine Thomas. God bless you.